Oh, okay. Let me just.
Very good afternoon to everyone here. Thank you for taking a time off this Saturday afternoon. We will now like to invite our president of Soroptimist International Club Bangsar to speak to us, Mrs. Bay.
Then you need to unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I am Khoo Swat Ping, President of Soroptimist International Club of Bangsar. Welcome to our webinar, Teenage Pregnancy and Baby Dumping. This is part of our project entitled Teenage Survivors Kit. It encompasses teenage pregnancy and baby dumping, mental health, cyber safety, bullying, and improving self-confidence. We are not here to make a stand on any subject. We are here to provide information to adults who have the care of teenage children, to enable them to help their charges meet some of the challenges that face them, and to help to prevent teenage pregnancy and baby dumping. For this webinar, we are happy to collaborate with the Sathya International Organization, SSIO of Malaysia, and we would like to thank them for joining us. So I hope you will enjoy this webinar and take with you some information which will be of help. Thank you. I will now show you some information of what Soroptimist International Club of Bangsar is about and what we have been doing in Malaysia. Thank you. Sim? Thank you. Now I would like to invite Doreen Ong from the Sathya Science International Organization to say a few words and to tell you a bit about the organization. Doreen Ong is a retired finance director and chartered accountant. She has been involved with the Sathya Sai International Organization, SSIO Malaysia, from 1990. Since her retirement from the corporate world 23 years ago, she has been actively involved as a volunteer and coordinator for ladies and members activities in SSIO. Over to you, Doreen. You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, Doreen.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Peng, President of SICB, members of the organizing committee, President of SSIO Malaysia, Brother Sugu, members of SSIO, Dato, Datins, and our esteemed guests from various NGOs, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to see that many of you have come and joined us this afternoon. I know many of you have been busy, but I'm very pleased and privileged to have you on board to be our guest this afternoon. So I'm very happy that we are able to co-organize this program together with SICB. SICB have been known to us since we got together with the late Prof. Chang, your past president, one of your past presidents, to do certain projects. Yeah, and also we have been over the years been involved with various programs. You all have helped us very much. SICB has helped us very much in the child personal safety programs, creating HIV awareness with through our trainers with some of our members. Yeah, and also over the years we have collaborated on projects here and there. Yeah. So we are very happy because this is a subject which is not easy for many of us to discuss. Yeah. And I'm so glad through SICB that you are able to come and work together with us on this program. And we look forward to working on more programs with SICB. So now I would like to present a video on our Sathya Sai International Organization. Yes, Sim, could you help us present the video? Thank you, Sim.
The Sathya Sai International Organization is a spiritual and humanitarian organization. It neither belongs to any religion, nor does it preach any religion. It encompasses all faiths, all religions, and all nationalities. The The transformation of the heart and the manifestation of love through thoughts, words, and deeds is the mission of its nearly 2,000 Sathya Sai centers spread in 126 countries all around the world. It is carried out through educational, spiritual, and selfless service activities. The educational activities include the teaching and practice of the 5 human values: truth, right conduct, peace, love, and nonviolence. Classes are conducted for children and parents, and there are training seminars for teachers. These 5 values help the student enter the social fabric without losing faith in the principles of honesty, integrity, and the concept of service to the needy. Many administrators have examined the Sathya Sai Education in Human Values program, SSEHV, and adopted it in their schools. SSEHV is non-denominational and compatible with all cultures and religious creeds. The program is adaptable to all curricula and offers a meeting point for current trends in values-oriented education. Sathya Sai Education in Human Values is administered by 30 institutes of Sathya Sai education present in 30 countries. There are 41 Sathya Sai schools spread around the world. Service activities are a very important function of the organization. Selfless service is spiritual discipline for the realization of the divine reality latent in every being. Selfless service should be carried out regularly and become a way of life, as it facilitates the process of integration and development of personality and the blossoming of the ability to communicate and relate from heart to heart. It consists of taking care of the physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being of the needy without any intention of proselytizing. It coordinates and develops projects and social initiatives directed towards the sick, the aged, the disabled, and the children through a network of medical camps and clinics, home assistance with distribution of food and clothes to the needy, and loving care for the environment, nature, and animals. In a typical 12-month period on a worldwide basis, 148 medical, dental, and vision camps were held in 18 countries. 48,000 patients were examined. In the same time period, 31 medical clinics were operated in 10 countries. 155,000 patients were seen, including 28,000 served in the Sathya Sai mobile clinics. There are no membership fees for joining a Sathya Sai center, nor are donations solicited from members or the public. The expenses to cover the various projects are offered voluntarily by members. Further details and information on the Sathya Sai International Organization activities can be found by visiting satyasai.org.
Thank you very much, Sim. And now I would like to proceed with the introduction of our moderator as well as our panel of speakers. This afternoon, we have 4 very dynamic ladies to share with us. Firstly, we have our moderator, Ms. Juliet Chan, who is the ICT and PR convener for SICB. She is also the Corporate Communications Director with Help University. And she is working, her passion is working on children's ministry with her church over the last 17 years. Next, we have our panel of speakers. So our panel consists of Dr. Indrani, who is a medical doctor with the Ministry of Health for over 30 years. She now lectures at IMU on a part-time basis, and she is the president-elect of SICB. We also have Dr. Yo Pei Lee, who is a licensed counselor with the Board of Counselors Malaysia. She has been involved in various capacities as student counselor, lecturer, and trainer in various tertiary educational institutions. And currently, she lectures at Monash University. She has been a member of SICB since 2001. And we have also with us Nora Lam, who is a UK-trained barrister in law. She has practiced as an advocate and solicitor for over 30 years. And she has held various leadership positions in many international organizations and NGOs. She is the past president of Soroptimist International Region of Malaysia. I now hand over to our moderator for today, Ms. Juliet Chan. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Okay, I'm going to run through some house rules. Please mute your mics. I've noticed that all of you have. Thank you very much. And you have also turned off your cameras, especially if your internet is lagging. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the chat and we will compile them for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And if you want to ask any questions during the Q&A, please switch on your cameras so that we can see you. We will try our best to answer as many questions as possible, and if we can't, we will email you the answers. Please leave your email address in the public chat, and if you're not comfortable doing so, you may send it to me through the private chat. Okay, before I continue, we're going to have a poll. We're going to take 5 minutes to do this. another 5 more questions, so we'll appreciate if you could quickly vote on this. And we can quickly go through this, the answers for these as well. I'll give you another 30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. So, okay. Can teenagers become pregnant before experiencing her first period? The answer is yes, she can. She may be ovulating before her first period, so she can become pregnant. Should a teen father be held responsible for the pregnancy? There's no right or wrong for this question, I suppose, and it's, it's a contentious issue. Teenage pregnancy does have more complications when compared for an adult woman. 3 babies are dumped every week. That's correct. And more than 50% of babies are saved, dumped are saved. That's not true. I think the statistics are about 60%. No, sorry, about 30% of them are saved. Let's go to the next 5 questions.
Can start voting.
Yes, please start voting. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Here are the results. Okay, the abortion pills available in the market are completely safe. That's false. They're not completely safe. A person can become pregnant even though she may still show some bleeding every month. Yes, she can. What is the safest time to opt for an abortion, although abortion is illegal in Malaysia? Within 6 weeks? I think Dr. Insirani will let us know that. The abortion pill completely clears the uterus when you're pregnant. That's false. What is the percentage of teenage pregnancies that end up in abortions? 45%. But according to the latest statistics, it's around 50% and probably more reported as well. So thank you for taking part. Please mute your mics. Thank you. Okay, we're going to run through some facts and figures. The population of Malaysia, according to the 2019 statistics, is about 32.5 million. So if you look at the statistics here, those aged between 0 to 14 years old, they make up about, for boys, 7.6 million, and for girls, it's 7.6 million as well. So it's equal numbers. They make up around 23% of our population. And those aged between 15 to 64 years old, there's also almost an equal number of females and males. Males are 22.8 million and females are 22.7 million. So if you look at the stats here, we have a young population.
Sorry, Juliet, could you share your screen, please?
Sorry, it didn't come up late. Sorry about that. Can you see the screens now?
Yes.
Yes, so, okay, sorry about that. So if you look at our population, we have a young population. Malaysia has about 32.5 million people. And in terms of gender, it's almost 50-50% male and female. And we have a very young population. If you look at those between 0 to 14 years old, we have about, close to 50 million. And those aged 15 to 64 years old, we're talking about 25 million people. So we have a young population. So for teenage pregnancy here in Malaysia, according to the Malaysian Ministry of Health 2015 statistics, about 18,000 girls get pregnant each year in Malaysia. And the numbers are increasing every year. 25% of about 4,500 cases involved out of wedlock pregnancy. So that means there are 14 out of 1,000 teenage girls that get pregnant in Malaysia. That's about 1 in 4 teens that get pregnant by the age of 20.
Yuki, Amoy Thanh. Life, social problem.
There are 45 teenage girls that give birth every day. Many are not reported. So for teenage pregnancy, about 59.4% of them are aged between 18 to 19 years old. These are mostly college-age students. So we want to let you all know that, if you have or know anyone, teenage girls who are pregnant, there's help out there. Please reach out to them, and please reach out to the organizations that can help them, because they are not alone. You can meet a counselor, especially Haley here. You can talk to her personally or online. We have a list of organizations here. They're not exhaustive. There are many other organizations that do help single pregnant mothers and teenagers. Orphan Care is probably the most famous one. They have baby hatches around the country, and they work with KPJ hospitals as well. So they look after the children, they look after the mothers as well. Rumah Kita is a home for abandoned single pregnant mothers, and they also look after the babies too. And of course, there's Befrienders, which I'm sure you've all heard of before. You can call them to speak to someone. And we've also shared Haley's contact details here. So, if you want to speak to her, you can contact her. I would now like to pass this time to Dr. Intirani, who will share with us the medical aspects of teenage pregnancy.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia. I'm Dr. Indrani, and I will take you through actually the medical aspects of this webinar. and a very good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. And we are very passionate about this topic, but I know it's very sensitive and very difficult to share, but I think it is a very pressing problem among the community today. So let me share my slides.
Yeah, you can come and use. I was actually writing my thesis, but okay, never mind. Okay.
Just give me a sec, please.
வயிறு வலிக்குது ஏன் தெரியலையா
Okay, maybe Sim can help me to share. Hi, Sim.
Okay. You want me to share your slides, is it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, all right.
Slide shows. Next. Okay. We find that we have this problem of teenage pregnancy in the community, and we find that 91% of them actually were not planned to have sex. The main causes of teenage pregnancy is the culture of loving to hang out, among our teenagers, willing to take chances because, of their immaturity, of their mindset, drugs and substance abuse, which is so much available in our society today, exposure to social media, and the immaturity of their mind. They are willing to try anything. Next. Next. Sim, next. Okay, so what are the warning signs that we actually as parents or grandparents or caregivers should actually look for? Next. Okay, now we know that as teenagers, they do have mood swings, they do have physical signs and symptoms which are actually changing in their body. That is because of the hormonal changes that actually takes place from the age of about 10 to about 15. But what I feel that mothers or whoever who are living close to them should look out for is something different. They may suddenly start trying to talk to you about, asking you questions like, engaging in sexual or, activities or substance abuse, or you might find something in their, cupboards when you're cleaning. And one interesting thing is you might be buying, those menstrual products like pads and everything. And suddenly you find that, it's still there in the store and they're not using it. Actually, this is really a practical problem because I actually came across one case where a mom brought her 15-year-old daughter to see me one day and said, "Doctor, I'm not sure why. For the last 5 months, the pads that I bought has not been used." But at least she realized actually that the daughter could be ever pregnant. She thought the daughter was actually having, some mass in the abdomen. She was getting a bit fatter. She was actually getting abdominal pain. So the mother really thought that she actually was suffering from some problem. So when she brought the daughter, came came in into the consultation room and she told me that. Then I said, okay, maybe you want to wait outside while I examine your daughter. So when I examined the daughter, I actually noticed that her uterus was almost 6 months size. Now, well, her last period was 6 months ago, and her uterus was in accordance to the time that she hasn't got her period. So the first thing that ran through my mind is she pregnant? But of course, when I asked her of any sexual activity, the answer was no. Till the end, the answer was no, without even her mother in the room. So we said, okay. Then I called the mom and I said, I didn't want to tell the mom anything. I just told her, we have to do a few tests. We have to just check her urine because this is our first mode of suspicion. We will check her urine. But the mother was very willing to do it. But deep down, she was praying that it will not be a pregnancy. So we did the urine pregnancy test. To her surprise, but not to mine, it came out as positive. Now, the mom was devastated. She started crying and she said, it just couldn't be. It might be a wrong result. Then I had to go on to do an ultrasound to convince her, show her the baby and the uterus. Now, this is the kind of situation where the mom now is faced with, and the daughter insists, no, I cannot be pregnant. So now the truth is there. So we need to watch for subtle signs. In this girl, the first 3 months, she never had any vomiting. She didn't show any signs of appetite change. She didn't show anything. So it only came on because the mom suspected that the menstrual, the pads were not used. And then she found that she was putting on a bit of weight. So there can be a lot of other changes actually. Also, the child can start showing a little bit behavioral changes. They can become a bit aggressive. They can become aloof. They can lock themselves up in the room. Their dressings can start changing because their clothes get tight. And then you'll find that they actually are with new friends. Maybe they don't want to see their old friends. Next slide. Next slide. Now, what do I do now? So the mom actually asked me this question, what do I do now? You know, she was so desperate because she said, if I go home with my daughter, my husband is going to kill me. Because I'm supposed to look after her. I'm not working. I'm in the house all the time. He's a lorry driver. He goes to work in the morning. He comes back in the night. And I have got only one daughter and I've got 2 sons. So my next question is, who stays in your house other than your 2 sons? It was her nephew who was staying in the house. So my suggestion was, the best thing is try to actually find a good time to sit down and discuss with your daughter first what actually happened and try to give her as much emotional support and reassure her that, you know, you want to help her. I think that's about the best way to go about this, which is more easily said than done. But we need to save our kid. That's our prime importance. Our kid is the most important thing at this point of time. Okay, the next slide, please. Next slide. So to sum it up, most of our teen pregnancies are unplanned. Next slide. Next. Okay. So we have a survey which the Malaysian Population and Family Survey, which is done every 10 years. And in 2004, we found that 2.2% of our adolescents, what I mean by adolescents is the age from 11 to 19, they engage in sexual intercourse. This was in 2004, but to our surprise, 10 years later, the number had doubled to 4.8%. And the youngest age that a child actually engages in sexual intercourse willingly or non-willingly is as low as 10. So you'll be really, really surprised. Now, what is the cause of all this? Survey also shows that 35.3% of our teenagers are exposed to pornography. There's so much of pornography on the social media, movies. So recently, because of this little bit of, trying the girls wanting to go to college, this birth control pills that is available, and people choosing not to get married, they try to avoid pregnancies. So they don't become pregnant, but don't forget, they are sexually active. So in fact, we have done a survey among university students, and we have found that more than 40% are sexually active, at least once. Okay, next. Next. What's the cause and effect? We can actually sum it up and say it is the lack of knowledge. The result of lack of parental communication between parents and teenagers, and the ignorance that they can actually get pregnant at the first time they have sex. Many of them think, oh, I'm a virgin, I will not get pregnant. I mean, this is the kind of knowledge that, they actually have. Next. Next. Lack of comprehensive knowledge of sex education. Sometimes they lack a holistic kind of knowledge, the correct knowledge. They also forget about protection against not only pregnancy, about sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, next. Now, today's world, both parents are working, and some of them are working double shift, leaving children behind at home. It's very expensive to have maids. Sometimes they rely on family members who are older than them. And sometimes with our kind of culture, sometimes they have extended family members who are looking after the younger ones. And a lot of abuse actually takes place when the parents are not around. And very often it ends up in pregnancy. Next. Now, what do we define as teenage pregnancy? Any girl aged between 12 and 19 who gets pregnant. That is the definition for teenage pregnancy. Now, the issues are they haven't even completed their basic education. They have very little employment skills. They still depend on the parents for financial and for shelter. They're mentally immature. Now, they themselves are kids. How are they going to look after another kid? That imposes a lot of problems on themselves. Okay, next. Sometimes we have cultural reasons. There's pressure to marry the daughters off. Sometimes the parents feel that it is safer to marry the girl off at a younger age because it's a burden on them to look after this girl. Sometimes you have socioeconomic reasons, the lower socioeconomic groups. single mothers. Sometimes it's a vicious cycle, you know. The single mothers, they actually end up because they become single because they got married when they were very young. The husbands leave them. They are left with this child, and this child becomes another. It goes back into the vicious cycle. And we find that girls living in poverty, they are 4 times more, they can become pregnant 4 times more compared to people who are in the higher economic group. Because the higher economic group, they have access to medical care to go and do what they want to. So this is another problem. And the inconsistent use of birth control pills. Now, the lack of knowledge of contraception. Sometimes they do not know that contraception, if you want it to work, you must take it every day, not just 1 day, 2 days before having sexual intercourse, or the moment you have sexual intercourse, you take birth contraception and you can abort it. You can't do that. So this lack of knowledge ends up in pregnancy, teenage pregnancies. Okay, next. Yes, sexual abuse, also rape-related pregnancy is about 3 to 5%, but not particularly only for teen pregnancy. They can be, you know, this is a general survey done. Next. Next. Okay, now, teenage pregnancy has got a lot of risk factors and health issues. Next. Mental health effects. Okay, mental health effects is one of the main ones. Next. The child lives with shame and results in a whole disturbance in the family dynamics. Now, this child who got pregnant, even though she goes for abortion, or even though she gives the child for adoption, or whatever the outcome, she lives with that scar in her mind. Okay, there is suicidal tendencies, they go into depression, and there has been suicidal tendencies. Next. Stress. I mean, they can't work at all after that. And don't forget the mom with the stress with the unborn child in the uterus. Next. Now, these are some of the physical effects that actually happens to the mom. The hormonal changes due to pregnancy, it actually upsets the normal menstrual cycle, the hormones that work during menstrual cycle. Now, when a teenager is going to, after puberty, she has only estrogen and progesterone that is working in her body. But when she becomes pregnant, then she has other hormones that will start working on her breast, on her uterus, and that will stop her menstrual cycle. So when her menstrual cycle stops, sometimes it can cause a problem even after delivery. So these are some of the physical effects that can happen. Not to talk about her education being interrupted. Then you have actually the health issues while delivering. The pregnancy itself, the placenta can get adhered to the wrong side. They can have different, because the uterus is not well developed, so the placenta gets, it's not a normal kind of a attachment. Then you get hypertension, you can get diabetes, you know, under stress, they can even end up, because their anatomy is not well formed, they actually end up with a lot of trauma during even labor. Okay, next. This is just a picture of, you know, the complications during pregnancy, where the patient actually has diabetes, infection. Many of them end up with preterm labor. They don't go till 40 weeks. They actually end up with, you know, sometimes 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 18 weeks, 20 weeks, you know, so they have a preterm labor, then they end up with miscarriage, stillbirth, and other complications, especially tears in their reproductive canal. Okay, next. Now, there has been surveys done over many countries, in many countries, and we have found that actually they get easily pregnant, but more than half of the pregnancies actually end up with abortions. So you will find that more than 50% they end up with abortions. Next. Now, abortions are totally illegal in our country, but you know, you can actually have abortions at different phases of pregnancy. Okay, next. You can get abortion spontaneously. That means it just happens, which happens in more than 50%. But sometimes we do not know whether they have induced it or not. They themselves using non-medical methods. Okay, and then you can induce an abortion, legal and illegal, but most often it is illegal. Abortion is illegal in our country for all purposes. The only time that abortion is allowed is when it is dangerous to the mother. The pregnancy is dangerous to the mother. It is going to cost the life of the mother. So you require 2 doctors, 2 specialists to sign to say that it is dangerous and she requires to terminate her pregnancy. That is the only reason when you can legalize an abortion. Next. So you have a lot of dangers with abortion. The safest time to do an abortion is when they are less than 6 weeks after pregnancy, but very often that part of it is missed. Many of them don't even suspect that they can be pregnant. So very often they end up going late to centers, and they can end up with uterus or cervix injury. There can be pelvic infection. They end up with chronic pelvic infection, which later on when they get married and they want to have children, they cannot because it has already caused adhesions in their reproductive organs. There can be reactions to anesthesia. There can be hemorrhage. There can be delayed hemorrhage because of infection. Sometimes when during labor or abortion, sometimes what can happen is they can even get hemorrhage in their brain. And the part of the brain which is actually stimulating the ovulation actually can actually it can actually get affected, and the child might not get her period after that. So these are issues that can happen to teenagers, more to teenagers. Of course, to adults also it can happen, but this is more to teenagers. Okay, next. Now, reducing teen pregnancy enhances the overall child's well-being. I mean, we cannot deny that. Teen mothers are nearly twice as likely to forego prenatal care in the first trimester. So it's so important for them to actually come to the clinic, book at the clinic the moment they know that they are pregnant. We encourage as early as 5 weeks, meaning the moment they miss their periods, 1 week later, they do their urine pregnancy test if they are positive to come and book at the clinic. But what happens in teenagers? Once they find out, then they actually shy away. They actually are so scared to face the truth. Then they will start to go around shopping for methods to solve this problem by themselves. Very, very few teenagers will immediately come to the elders or mothers or whoever to ask for help. So they will try among their friends. And we also had, I also can tell you a few of them who come, you know, I had one case, I just like to relate a case at this point. I had one case where this girl celebrated her 15th birthday. I mean, I just cannot understand how come 3 days her celebration went on and her parents never looked for her. She was staying out somewhere enjoying for 3 days. And I mean, after 3 days, and then she comes back home, I suppose, and she comes to see me after about probably 3 or 4 months after her birthday. She comes with a friend and she tells me, "Doctor, I have a problem." "What's your problem?" "I think I'm pregnant. Can I have an abortion?" I mean, that is the kind of, that's the kind of teenagers that we have this, nowadays. So I said, "How do you know that you're pregnant?" "Well, I did my urine pregnancy test." "So when did it happen?" "I think it happened." That's the answer. "I think it happened during my 15th birthday." "Why do you say I think?" "Because I stayed out 3 days and I don't know who is responsible. Because we had a lot of drinks, we had, we had fun, we had, drugs. So that is the scenario today. So I had to straight tell her, "Look, abortion is not, what do you want to do?" "I want to abort the child." Straight, she comes and tells. I say, "First, you are underage. Number 2, abortion is illegal." And a friend turns around and tells her in front of me, "Don't worry, doctor, I know a center to go and get aborted." To abort. I was just so shocked, and I just told her, "Listen, I think it is very, very risky. You please go back, talk to your parents, see what you can do." That's all that you, and they just walked out of my consultation room. So she believes her friend, which is so dangerous. And this is where I think, trying to control our children, trying to at least oversee, you must know who their friends are, who they are sleeping over with. They have sleepover parties. This is a very common norm that we have. But I suppose we need to know. It's very, very important to know. Next. Next. Okay. Now we come to the other part of our problem. So we also have, if the girls are responsible, the girls cannot be totally responsible. There must be a boy to be responsible. He may not be in his teens, but very often they are also in their teens, maybe 1 year older or one. So you find that 8 out of 10 teens, boys, they actually, these dads actually don't marry these girls. They just move on. They just move on with life. I can tell you another case where, I was sitting in a GP, I was sitting in a clinic doing locum. Recently, one guy calls me and says, "Can I ask you a question?" "Yeah, what is it?" "I had sex with one of the girls and on this date, and today she hasn't got her period. She's supposed to get a period. Do you think that I'm responsible for her pregnancy?" You will never imagine that this kind of questions, they are so daring to ask the doctor. But at least, they are coming out and asking, so you have to give them proper information. So if I were to brush him off and say, "Look, this is, it cannot be, why are you asking, why did you do that?" Then we are losing that that opportunity to actually educate him and actually to find out how you're going to help. So I think it is very important for us to actually read through the lines, find out what happened, and probably give a listening ear. I think we have to be empathetic because children actually, they have actually got a lot of information in the social media. They're not able to sieve through. They do not have the mental maturity to actually understand, I feel. Anyway, the later part, our lawyer, the legal advisor will continue. The next one, next line. Okay, most of our teen fathers, they are also involved in substance abuse. They may be having criminal behavior. They will also be dropouts from school. They can't actually support the child. So the very few of them where, you know, you actually can carry on to actually talk to them about marrying or whatever, because they haven't actually passed their childhood, their teenage level. Okay, next. Okay. So we have another big problem in our hands, which is baby dumping. Okay, they carry on, babies are not born full term, sometimes they are premature, they don't know how to handle it, so we have dumping. Next, next. Okay, this is very intricate and intertwined. This baby dumping is with pregnancy, they have early sexual debuts and rising sexual activities. So all these are reasons why we have baby dumping actually. Next. Okay, now this little bit of census that we have is actually the tip of the iceberg. Many are going unreported, but we have found that 53 babies were found dumped between January and June in 2020. Okay, so this is some number which we have to be very aware of, especially during this COVID period. Next. Okay, this means that we have one baby being dumped every 3 to 4 days in Malaysia. And this is very, very frightening. Next. Okay, so most of the babies, okay, 64% of the babies were found dead, because one is they were just, you know, delivered in a very bad manner, and either they are premature, they're very, very small, and they were just dumped. They die of the cold, they die eaten by, you know, animals, toilets, you know, dumped into toilets. So they're very, very sad scenarios that happens. Next. Okay, so main causes of baby dumping is unplanned pregnancy, due to unsafe and unprotected sex, due to lack of education and knowledge, and unwed mothers. We find that they are unwed, they are unwanted pregnancies and illegal pregnancies. So what happens is, even if they come to the clinic, you know, they don't, I mean, at home, they don't get emotional and family support. Then when they come to the clinic, in the clinic especially, you see, our system is so funny. When they come to book in the clinic, the first thing that we ask is for the marriage certificate. So if they do not produce the marriage certificate, the father's name is not filled up in the book. So that gives rise to a lot of, you know, shame, and they won't come to the clinic. So we have to go around, we have to tag their books, and we have to go searching for them sometimes in the house. And sometimes if they don't get emotional and family support, what happens? They run away from the home. You know, they run away from the home, and we have problems. So sometimes they, you know, we get maternal deaths. The baby, you know, ends up in premature deaths. So we we are facing a lot of problems because of this teenage pregnancy, and especially when they are unwed mothers. Next. Yeah. So this brings me to the end of my slide. So just say that avoid teen pregnancy for a better future and make a responsible choice to the teenagers. So I'm going to pass this over to our counselor, Paley, for her to actually continue to how we're going to handle the situation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Indrani. Thank you for doing all the hard part. I hope all of you are still with us. If you are still with us, can you just go to the chat box and put yes, so that I know all of you are still around. I can't see all of you. You are not on video. Yeah, yeah, yes, 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 yes. Now, in my session, I like it to be interactive. So if along the way you have questions, feel free to just put it in the chat. If I could see, I will respond. Otherwise, we will push it down to the Q&A session. Yeah. Now, before I start, my session really is on prevention. Yeah, that's really what I do as educators, right? Not just counselor, I also really like, to educate so that I can reduce my clinical load. And in order to do that, I think all prevention.
Echo.
Okay. Now, before I start, I would like to put you in a situation. There's some feedback, yeah? Okay, so let's say somebody tells you, hey, I'm pregnant. What am I supposed to do? Now, I want you to put on the head of a parent, a guardian, or if not, a grandparent. Otherwise, if you are the boyfriend, what is your response? What about your friend? If you know your friend who's pregnant, or your friend's daughter, your friend's son who made, another person's daughter's pregnant. Yeah, and in the school setting, if you are the teacher, what are you going to do? Now, I'm going to launch a poll and see if you can just answer it as if you are in that situation. There's no right or wrong answer. The first thing that comes to mind, usually that is a good answer. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming. Yeah, this is really just to give me a sense of where we stand, because there's a lot of, it's kind of controversial, yeah. When is a life alive, yeah. Even if you talk about before 6 weeks, if you were to abort the baby, is that alive? Or when there's no heartbeat yet, that's still not alive. Okay, need another option. Dr. Andy, would you want to come to the mic? What would be the other option that would be good? Or you can put it in the chat. Find the father of the child to raise together. Wow. If he wants to be responsible, do you think he will disappear? I'm glad it comes from you, a male perspective. Give birth, adoption, talk to the teen. Yes, and then what? If it's a rape, okay, all right. So, okay, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to show you the result of our group. Yeah, so I'm glad that all of us would want to keep the baby. Yeah, how we raise it, that is a different issue. But I think here, I'm glad this crowd here, we value life. Otherwise, you wouldn't spend your afternoon here with us. Yeah, appreciate that. Now, what I want you to do now is to put yourself in the pregnant lady's shoes. Yeah, what are you going to do if you are the one that accidentally get pregnant, either you have this volunteering suka sama suka sex, or you are being raped. There's a lot of date rape happening right now. What would you do if you are the pregnant one? Wow, this is really interesting. Okay, let's just wait for a few more. We have 70% that have responded. I wonder why it takes so long. Are you all thinking? Are you all reflecting? What should I do? Yeah, some of you responded so quickly. Yeah. Okay, it has stopped. Let me just show you the result. Okay, see if any one of you can comment on the result. What do you all notice here? What comes to mind when we see this result as compared to the earlier one? The earlier one was so sure that, you know, we will keep and raise the baby, but if you are the one that is involved, it's going to be hard to make that decision, isn't it? Medical doctors are legally allowed to help abort if mother is in distress. Yeah. But if they are raped but not in distress, is that possible? Or, you know, it's healthy? Yeah, so some of the question, I believe my my team, the lawyer, will answer as she sees it, or later on, if yeah, it's moving so quickly. Yeah, Dr. Indrani can also type it in. Okay, let's just, now that we know the situation here, there's really, you know, literally like 3 choices. Yeah, either we give it away for adoption, or we really give birth and raise it together with the father, if the father is able to take responsibility. Otherwise, it will be the grandparents. Think about it, yeah. And many of, because I'm involved in education, many of the generation, the millennials that I meet, they are not raised by their own parents, they are raised by their grandparents. So it looks like we will skip a generation because their parents will be busy, you know, going to work, putting food on the table, and that's where the children are being raised by grandparents. So this is where it will involve all of you here for this talk, and really, again, I'm very appreciative of your signing up here for this talk. Yeah, the other one will be abortion. Yeah. Now, if you have heard from Dr. Indrani, the situation, yeah, is really more risky for teenage mom. Yeah. If, let's say, if it's not physical, it's going to be mental. Yeah, because if you don't welcome the baby, it's not like, you know, you are a childless couple and then you get pregnant, you are so excited, or you just got married and with the intention of wanting to raise a family, you just look forward to have this baby. But right now, it's not. Yeah, you were having fun only to know that this fun turned into like a crisis. Yeah, and if you decide to keep the baby, you know how your life change. Yeah, you may have to stop school, you may have to, you know, work. Yeah. People will look at you differently because of the stigma that's around. You may experience baby blues, if not postpartum depression. Yeah, and this is not bad enough, right? You will also have challenges bonding with your baby. Yeah, because it's like you look at the baby, it's like you are a burden. You are not a joy. Yeah, and because you are not used to it, you have to work, you have to study, you have to take care of the baby. You may feel fatigued. Yeah, and that sense of wordlessness, I'm really so helpless and incapable. And then there'll be anxious, anxiety, and then thinking of harming yourself, if not harming the baby. All right, it's more of like you're so in pain. It's not like you want to kill, but you know the emotion takes over. Yeah, and you don't enjoy activity that you used to enjoy. Now, what if we give it away for adoption? Yeah. So for you, for the mother that gave it away, it's not going to be easy as well. All right, it's like you're going to miss your baby that you carry for 9 months. Yeah, and you wonder whether your baby will be raised in a healthy home, in a home where, you know, your baby will be loved, and you'll be hating yourself for not being able to take care of your baby, and there may be guilt, yeah, and sorry. Now, what about the baby that is raised? Now, research has shown that because of the neuroscience and attachment theory, yeah, even though you may have adopted the baby from birth, yeah, the baby will somehow still know that something is missing. You may not be my birth mother. Along the way, they will be making statements like, are you my real mother? Yeah. Now think about it. You know, the mother and the baby born during pregnancy, the baby is 9 months with the mother. So when the baby comes out and there is a hand of another parent that doesn't carry her, the baby can know that something is different. Yeah. So the baby may feel very insecure, feel very lonely, may even feel rejected. Yeah. Now, what if we give away? Yeah. And a lot of my Asian childless couple, they at first were talking about maybe we should go for adoption, but after a while, after thinking through, they still choose not to adopt because they are thinking, can I really love this child as my own flesh and blood? Yeah. So it may increase your expenses. You may not be giving proper parenting because you may think that this is really not my son. If this child is a special need child, it's going to be even more challenging. Yeah. There's a lot of unfulfilled expectation and difficulty answering. Yeah. So having said that, yeah, teen pregnancy is really 100% preventable, 100%. Yeah. And if, let's say, how would things be different if we all abstain from premarital sex? Can you all guess? Okay, fundamental cause of gender equality in country with higher death side is lower. Girls are empowered and well informed on sex. That's good information. I'm just reading the thing in the text. Yeah. All right, so if we abstain, that means we will not have sexual intercourse. When there's no sexual intercourse, we don't have to worry about pregnancy problem. Yeah, and then we don't even have to worry about sexual transmitted diseases. Yeah, and there's no complication in your pregnancy. There's no medical side effects. Yeah, and of course, you know, you spare yourself from all the mental health conditions. Right, yeah. Okay, so then the question is, now this question, if you were to ask the young people where they are bombarded through the media every day about, you know, premarital sex, it's about sex, even the games that they play is very, very sensual, yeah. So the question to all of us here, can you date without sex? Golden question. Can we all put what do you all think? Yes or no? Can we date without sex? Or has this been your challenge before in the past? Very hard, oh. Yeah lah, why? Why very hard? It's hard. I'm not sure how old are you, Max? Are you the older generation or this generation? Would you be able to review? Boys and men should be taught to respect girls, well said, and be responsible. In Malaysia, we send girls to rehab, but the boys are free to make love with others. Yeah, that's right. It's so double standard, isn't it? Yeah. Really, very well said. Yeah. Don't date till 21. Do you think it will work in this generation? Tell your kids about it. Yeah. In front of you, they won't date, but behind you, they will have sex, multiple partners already. Yeah. Yeah. Millennial. Okay. So, Max, will you be able to tell why is it challenging? Maybe the uncle, auntie here can give you some tips. I think I will not be married off if I date today. Need to cultivate healthy dating. Yes, healthy dating, well said, yeah. It'll be difficult to make decision on raising the baby. Guess if the grandparents can, then it should be no problem. Yeah, so then you pass on the responsibility to the grandparents. Yes, sex education, very important. Yeah, educate the teens on contraception. I think we can end this talk already. All of you know the answer. All right, keep it coming, yeah? Okay, so imagine if you date without sex, yeah, especially if you are very beautiful. Yeah, you thought your beauty will raise your self-esteem because you attract a lot of guys. But a lot of teens, they wonder whether, you know, this guy loves me for who I am or this guy just loves my looks and my body, right? So imagine if you tell this person, no, yeah, I can wait. Yeah. this person will really love you because he can respect your decision. Yeah. So then this couple will be able to look for ways to cultivate their friendship and eventually relationships. Yeah. And then the wedding night becomes so special, isn't it? It's something that they look forward to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know, this keeping it to wedding night is also very controversial, isn't it? Some of us think that, you know, these are like grandmother's time, or it's a dinosaur advice. But whatever you say is still the safest, is still the best. Yeah. Now you can contest, yeah. This is really my own personal perspective as well. Having encountered lots of teenagers who get themselves into unnecessary problem. You know, as a SICB, we also run sex education in school. We name it under HIV/AIDS education. I had one student leader who followed me, you know, whenever I run the workshop, she will be my student leader. And we also talk about, you know, as much as we can, do the abstinence. If you cannot do the abstinence, ABC, you know, the B will be faithful. Keep to one partner. If you cannot be faithful, then you must use the C, condom. Yeah. But the best is still the D, do it yourself. Yeah. So those are some of the advice that we give. But then she is the one that come and tell me, Dr. Yo, I am pregnant. Yeah. So that was like, you know, really a lesson for me as well. Just because they have learned it doesn't mean that they will honor it as well. Yeah, when it comes to emotional need, emotional distress, emotional emptiness, these are the things that would come, you know, to make them feel that they are belong, they are loved. And I run a workshop, you know, we ask the young people, you know, what is love? Guess what they say? What is love? Who can tell me? In the eyes of young people, what is love? Put it in the chat. There we go. Love is sex. That's right. Yeah, so I have one who said, you know, I cannot imagine dating without sex. All right, so to them, love is sex, sex is love. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, these slides talk about, now this is not like foolproof. This is really like somebody's observation on religion. Most religion would not approve of teen sex. Yeah, if you're not really, yeah. Again, all these rules and regulations, all these are boundaries to protect us. Yeah, if you look at red is condemned, you know, orange is like condemned in most cases. So teen sex is really not encourageable. Yeah. So what do we do if we want to help the teens? We need to hear from them. Yeah. Teenagers' love is lust. Okay. Perhaps. Yeah. Was it like that in the 60s, in the 70s? Or is it just this generation? What do you think? Is it an age-old issue? Can you imagine our grandparents' time? They get married when they are teenagers. Yeah. And that's the time where, you know, their hormone is raging, and then they get to have sex legally because they are married by 13, 14, 15. Nowadays, the average age of us getting married is in the 20s. Can you see the delay in being able to have sexual intercourse? No wonder, yeah, there's all these premarital things that happen. So you tell me, what is the problem here? All right.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, please.
The problem is because of the food we eat. Actually, you know, last time the grandmothers time they don't eat chicken with hormones and antibiotics. You see, and now because of the hormones in the meat we eat, you know, the emotion is I mean they are ahead of the ability to control their emotion. You see, because of all these hormones, you know. So this one of the factor. Of course, the love and also the affection that they receive from the family also is important. You see, there's a community in Africa, New Guinea. They actually don't have this problem because they got skin contact. You know, the community are actually very self-disciplined. They don't have all this problem with teenage pregnancy and all that because they have love and respect and affection. You see, you know, this is from a website about good parenting, you know, it's skin contact and so on, you know. So a lot of these teenagers are having problem because they don't have a stable emotional life. They also lack of affection from the family, and eating all this meat that is saturated with hormones. So these are the things that upsets a lot of the teenagers' inability to control their emotion. Okay, that's part of it.
Okay, so yeah. Thanks for the information. And also the social media influence. Yeah, everywhere they're bombarded with all this sexual information. Yeah, the skin contact. Yeah, if you don't have a healthy, nurturing relationship with your parents, that's where you will, once you hit puberty, you will look out. Yeah, for the love that we human needs. It's a universal thing. Yeah. So let's hear from a teen very quickly. This is what they say. Yeah. 82% feel that teens should not be sexually active. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, we tend to also have a very skewed perception about them, but they actually do know. Perhaps it is the situation like, you know, one bad apple spoil the whole basket. Yeah, just because that few got pregnant, but there are many more who actually do not. Yeah. But then, on the other hand, 72% agree that teens are sexually active should have access to birth control. Right now in Malaysia, it's not legal, yeah, to get birth control, but they have ways to get it, and they do not know the different way of birth control. All we know, most of them will only know condom. That's it. Yeah. There is this increase in sexual intercourse in teens, yeah, from 2004 to 2014, almost like 100%. Yeah, only 35% adolescents use contraceptives. Yeah, because a lot of time they don't plan, you know, when they go out to have sex tonight. If they really do plan, they may have, you know, got themselves ready. Yeah, so sometimes it's really at the heat of the moment. Yeah, 35% believe they can't get pregnant the first time. Yeah, only to know that yeah, there is lottery to strike. Yeah. Okay, what do you think? 67% of teens who have had sex wish they have waited. Yeah. So once you experience it, now you know. Like it's like you play with fire. Then now you know. Yeah, I had one mother. Yeah, who actually, you know, she was those very rebellious mom, like those, you know, that goes to discotheque, that will sleep around. But when she became a mom, when she parented her daughter was with me, you know, in college around 18, 19, 20, and she said, this is what my mother said. You know, I can go over and overnight in my boyfriend's house as long as I don't have sex. That's what the mother said. Okay, I don't know, what do you think of this advice? Okay. I thought the mother was just being real, isn't it? Yeah. Now, they're outside. Who are the stakeholders? It's not about the teenagers that got pregnant and the problem is her. No way. So what will you tell, Andrew, to your daughter? Yeah, so if you look at the stakeholders here, all of us, practically all of us are involved. If, you know, you are the parents of that teenager, you have to take over. You have to maybe help your teens to buy Pampers and milk. And if you have to work, your parents, which is the baby grandparents, would have to take care. And then the school, we talk about, you know, sex education. Some of you have put that in the chat. Yeah, then Ministry of Education is involved. Ministry of Health, like Dr. Indrani, she has been going around also, you know, giving awareness talk. Hospital and clinics is also involved, you know, us counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists. Yeah, it would be good to have religious body coming together, like what we have right now, with the NGOs and the masyarakat. See, all of us, yeah, otherwise it is your tax money. Yeah, government will use your tax money to set up maybe like baby hatch, yeah, to help them through their pregnancy in a healthy way. Now, I would like to speak to teachers. Yeah, there is this debate. Should we just promote abstinence-only sex education? What do you all think? That means no sex until marriage. Is that how best it is? Just give me your answer. Susah. Okay, so only for no sex until marriage. What about the rest? Put in the text. Put in the chat. I get you active. Impossible. Oh, okay. Gen Z not practical. Yeah. Okay, good. I really want the millennials here, the Gen Z or Zen, whatever, the younger one, to just put in your perspective so that, the older one here would be able to hear your perspective. Sex when you are ready. Okay, so what is readiness? Yeah, that's what we always promote, sex when you are ready. It's the teacher thinking they don't, but they do have sex. Yeah, after marriage, it's going on too fast. After marriage, do whatever you want. Yeah, but can you wait? The problem is, can you wait? Can you wait 10 years? Your hormone is raging by age 13. By the time you get married, it's 30. Can you wait like 20 years? Okay, anyway, there is a study that shows that, abstinence only sex education correlate with increase in teen pregnancy. So in other words, it doesn't work lah. Yeah, as much as we say don't have sex, it doesn't work. Okay, so what they propose is to have an integration of comprehensive sex education together with sexually transmitted diseases education, risk aversive behavior, and then planning, future planning. Yeah, and when we talk about pregnancy prevention program, it's good to involve, get to know like what are their recent sexual activity, number of sexual partners, frequency of sexual activity. For those grandparents or those who have got adult children here, parents who have got adult children, have you had this kind of conversation with your children? Yeah, do you teach them about contraceptives? Yeah. So scary. But have now. Okay, good. Oh, if I can change one person's mind, I've done my job, man. Okay, sexual initiation and abstinence, pregnancy. So these are the things that we need to have conversation with our children as if it's another conversation. Yeah, very scientific, not really about what to do. So let's see if I don't answer your question. Yeah, we can continue to have conversation. Yeah. During the Q&A. Now, I want to address to parents and guardians or grandparents as well. Sex education should begin from home. We should be able to guide them. It's like it's like just another value that we teach, that we want to impart to our children. We don't just teach them; they have to catch it on from us, right? We should start young so that this is just another topic. It doesn't feel very weird. Yeah. So and it's also not that one-off. Yeah. When your doctor has got menses, then only you teach them a little bit about, menstruation. Yeah, but then all the other things you did not touch on. And also, equal focus on boys and girls. As we said just now, guys also have to be taught, to respect girls. Yeah, because if we want to really prevent this, it's not just about girls protecting themselves. Guys also, have to be taught to respect. Yeah, and to take responsibility. Otherwise, if they're not ready, please. Yeah, wait. Talk about sex and love often. Yeah. So here, now parents, for you to be effective, you have to ask your own question first. Yeah, you have to ask yourself, what is your value? What are your attitudes? Yeah, about this topic. Yeah. I don't need you to answer, but it's something that you can ask yourself right now, because these are the information that you can ask your kids later, or or your grandchildren next time. Yeah, so how do you feel about school-age teens being sexually active? Who needs to set the sexual limits in relationship? How is this done? And then, were you sexually active? See, one of the things that will really help teenagers is for you to be vulnerable. The case that I shared with you, how the mother had made mistake, yeah, and she is conceived out of wedlock. That's why the mother would say, whatever it is, you fall in love, you love your boy, you want to stay overnight, it's okay, as long as if you can wait. That's how the mother was able to come to that advice, knowing that it's just not possible for her to restrict the daughter if you are really in love. Yeah, and because she kind of like have the permission from mother, yeah, she actually did wait. Yeah, she actually did wait until she is ready. Yeah, even though they may be overnight, but it's a group of friends. Yeah. So if you can allow yourself to be vulnerable, these are really these will really open up and bond, you know, the relationship between you and your kids. The only thing is, a lot of time parents, they may not have good story to tell, but it's really okay. Yeah, just let them know the mistake that you have made. Yeah, and that's why you are deciding likewise. Yeah. All right, so how do you feel about encouraging teens to abstain from sex? What do you think about teens using contraceptives? Yeah, so these are questions that you can ask yourself. You all may want to do a screenshot for you to answer. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Then, okay, so be approachable. Talking about sex doesn't mean you're encouraging them to be sexually active. They will anyway. But because you talk to them about sex, you are giving them a choice. It's an informed decision, so that they'll be more careful. If not, they don't do it yet, because they know that it's not something that is agreeable or approved by my parents. Your child needs to feel comfortable asking about anything, not just about sex. So again, here you need to spend time with your children, talk about every other thing, including sex. Then it makes it easy. Yeah, and then listen to what your child knows. Because right now with the internet, you know, they have the whole world in their hand, yet they are not mature enough to handle the information. Yeah, so if we don't guide them, we don't coach them, the world out there is going to teach them. Right? So be askable. Yeah. Do you even know what's the difference between love and sex? Right? So this is not the platform to answer this question. Think about it. Yeah. Most of the time, are you making love or are you having sex with your spouse? Think about it. Yeah. So how do I know I'm in love? These are questions your kids will ask you, the teenager will ask you. Next time, your grandchildren will ask you. Yeah, will sex bring me closer to my boyfriend? How will I know when I'm ready for sex? Yeah, we talked about some of you there. How am I know? How will I know when I'm ready to get married? Will having sex make me more popular? Will I be more grown up and be able to do more adult activities? Yeah. All right. So how do I tell? So do your best. How do I tell my boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't want to have sex without losing him or her, hurting her feelings? I think just now we also look at, you know, how, when you are at the heat of the moment, how. That's why we really have to prepare them, you know, give them a plan. If you are in that situation, what do you do? Yeah. Yeah, talk to them about contraception. Yeah, and then can you get pregnant the first time? Tell them. Okay. Yeah. Be parents who answer with a viewpoint. Now, this is where every family will have a different point of view, yeah, or different stand. So tell them what's the meaning of sex in your family. Sex is an expression of love within marriage. Yeah, but if you don't agree with this, you can change. Yeah, but this is where I stand. Yeah, what is the age to have sex? What is ready? You know, when you say readiness, what does that mean? Yeah, to us, readiness means you have earned enough. You can earn to buy Pampers and milk. Yeah. Risk of unprotected sex, use of contraceptive. Yeah, you notice the information are very repetitive. Yeah, because these are the situation that is causing all the problem in the earlier on. Okay, I see. I'm all right. So choice in sexual charge. All right. Will you say no? How, will you seek contraceptive? Will you negotiate? Yeah. Yeah. So here. So therefore, yeah, we have to teach our teens how to say no, how to say no to sex. No is no, because a lot of time to the teens, the guys, I'm using the guys, maybe nowadays the guys also get raped. Yeah, yes is no, no is yes. Okay, so here, as parents or grandparents, you also have to know what's going on. So be proactive. When you see news like this, it is also a teachable moment to talk about, you know, all these issues. Yeah, so you don't have to like scare them, but you know, as it appeared, as you know, the consequences of it, just talk to them about it. Yeah, and if you have little kids, yeah, make sure you know what they are doing, because there's a lot of perpetrators out there. Yeah, and what is online safety? Let them know, because all these perpetrators are really, you know, disguised as somebody charming, somebody that is so sweet. Yeah. All right. Okay. Right. So then now, because they have the whole world in their hand, unless you have all those you know, children's web protector, otherwise, you know, they can really access all this pornography which they are not ready to digest. Yeah. So please know what they are doing and get to know their friends, so that the friend can also alert you. Yeah, if at all they notice that, you know, their friend, which is your daughter, yeah, or your grandchild, you know, is in trouble. Yeah. And work together with NGOs. Yeah. Even if we are not in the ministry to change the law or to change our curriculum, you know what, you can write to the media, and this is submitted by our president, Soroptimist president, yeah, to just really just tell the world out there about promoting comprehensive sex education, yeah, so that we can change the perception. Now, this is really intervention here together with NGO. Most of us, we are doing intervention when, you know, to help teenage mom, setting up halfway houses, encouraging to install more baby hatches, so that when the word go out there, the teens would know that they don't have to really like abort the baby. They can be hidden somewhere for 9 months, give birth to the child, and then come back to school, and nobody knows about it. Yeah, and then work with the hospital and clinics. Yeah, and then provide counseling by both professional lay counselor, peer counseling support. Yeah. Okay, I'm coming to my last few slides. Religion. Okay. Now this is a situation here. A lot of time, because it's not approved by religion, you know, and then when they went to see their religious leader, they, you know, a lot of things, they felt more condemned. They felt so sinful, you know. They felt so bad. No, this is not the time to tell them that you made a mistake. You have done something that is so wrong. Yeah, we need to continue to provide them love and support, because if not, we are going to push them away, and they are not going to get help. Yeah. And for us as masyarakat, you know, we want to support programs that is run by all these NGO. And one more time, thank you for all of you for being here, learning, provide information on birth control. We talked about that early on, right? So if, let's say, we continue to stigmatize, we don't have love, we don't have compassion towards those who are pregnant, we're going to drive the teens away. They are not going to get safe. They are going to get into unsafe abortion and dumping the baby. Yeah. So again, our message to teen is delay first sexual intercourse if possible. All right, and then increase use of contraception. But, you know, personal choice is ready to wait. Yeah. So with that, you know, there's one more thing that we need to also look at, which is the law. Yeah, because the law right now is not very helpful. So later on, Nora, we are going to go for 5 minutes break, and then Nora will come back and we will go to the law, you know, and we will talk more about it. Any question, any thoughts? All right, so let's go for 5 minutes break, and then we will come back for the remaining of the session. Thank you so much. And put your question in the chat, we can address it.
Hi everyone, there are 95 of us here. I want to see 95 of you back here again after the 5-minute toilet break. Thank you. Let's put some music on. Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We would now like to invite Nora Lam to speak to us on the legal aspects of the teenage pregnancy and baby dumping.
You're muted.
You need to unmute, Nora.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Leslie, I can see you. And I know Fiona's there too. Right.
Welcome.
Yes. Good to have all of you community leaders and the social support groups here. So as we all know, prevention is better than cure. And I think that's what my two colleagues have done earlier, Dr. Indrani and Dr. Yo. And now I have to bring you guys to the hard part, which is where the law comes in. And it's important that as the community, right, we need to provide whatever support we can for these young couples. Okay, so move on to the next slide. Yeah. Right, so we know we have a baby and there are so many variations, right? What the young couple should do with the baby, whether it's the girl herself or with her boyfriend, keep the baby, abort the baby, give the baby away, dump the baby, raise the child. Some even think about suicide, as we heard from Dr. Yo, and some don't really know. So let's just look at some basic facts, and then I will go through some general points that's now facing this issue about babies and baby dumping as well. Now, factually, can the authorities take the child away from the mother, from the unwed mother? So the answer is no. As a social support group, you need to know this fact, because sometimes you will find, let's say a girl had a relationship, say, with a Muslim boy, right? You might have a situation where social welfare says, no, the baby needs to be brought up as a Muslim, so we're going to take the baby away. So you need to know how to answer that question, yeah? So they have no right to take the child away from the mother. And the other point was, can an unwed mother abort the baby? As we heard from Dr. Indrani, it's not possible because we don't have laws that allow for abortion, except when the mother's life is in danger. And that's an issue, whether the doctors will cooperate to give that certificate. But in rape, in a situation of rape, yes, you can ask for an abortion, yeah? Now, maintenance is another point that is seldom considered. You can have a situation of a teen girl thinking she's all alone, and how is she going to bring up the baby? The parents will say, look, we are not going to support you. This is your problem. This is your fault. You sort it out. So the situation would be that the girl, as long as she's brave enough and she's got her support group, she can actually apply to court for maintenance from the biological father. Okay, so So there is a paternity test to be taken. You know, if she slept around with everybody during a wild party, well, she has to identify who she thought was the guy. And if he fails to comply with the court order, that would be a contempt of court, right? And contempt of court means jail. Contempt of court order is jail. Now, if the boy is underage, the father of the boy will have to go to court. Okay, so just take note, parents are responsible when the child is below 18. Now, it's also apt at this point to share with you the definition of child under the law. It's any person below the age of 18. So we talk about teens, fine, but when it comes to the law, it's below 18, that's a child. Okay, and we have in Malaysia now a children's court. So this is where the child will be taken, right, for decision making by the courts. Now, as far as birth certificates are concerned, you have the mother who can apply for the birth certificate without the father being there, right? And she can also get the My Kid card. Okay. Important thing to note is the name of the father will not be included in the birth certificate. Okay. This can cause problems, especially when it comes to going to school. I think you all would have read in the papers, right, that the Ministry of Education said that some of these children, say you have one who's a foreigner and one who's a local, they can also study in school, but there is a problem with immigration because immigration sometimes is difficult and immigration insists that you need to produce a passport. And why produce a passport when you're actually a Malaysian child? So bear in mind that this might become an issue with schooling. Yeah. Now, if the couple decides to put the child up for adoption, do it properly, not just by passing the child to someone. I know a lot of cases where you have maternity homes, okay? The bidan or the ama down there will say, oh, I know a couple who's prepared to pay $5,000 for baby. Baby boy 10,000, baby girl 5,000. Still have discrimination. And you just give me the child and I will sort it out, okay? So actually what they do is sometimes they come up with fake birth certificates, right? They will put the name of the so-called foster parents in there as if was born in the hospital and or in the maternity home and put them as the parents. Now, everything looks fine, you know, the child goes to school under the name of the foster parents and all that. But come the age of 12, right, when the child has to go for his IC or her IC, JPN can ask to see the child. And when they look at the photograph, they say, look, this one doesn't look like the parents. How come the baby looks like this and you all look like this? How are you going to explain? So there will be an investigation and it will be also an offense on the foster parents. So this idea of handing over the baby to someone to sort out their birth certificate and touting the authorities is not a very wise move. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go on to adoption, because we need to look at what happens when the child has to decide, okay? When the teen girl or the teen boy has to decide, what do I do? You know, do I give the child up for adoption? Okay, so you need the letter of consent of the parents of the unwed mother, okay? So this is where I say the social support is important, because if the parents ostracize the child, the girl who is pregnant, geez, they are not going to give this letter of consent. So if they don't give the letter of consent, how can the baby be given up for adoption? And this is something that a lot of young people are faced with because they don't know what's the right thing to do. You know, they think that if I ask my parents, or they will not sign the paper, I'll be so malu. right? So what do I do? Do I dump the baby? What do I do? So they look at all the other alternatives. They never think about the possibility of adoption because the parents are not understanding, right? So parents need to be educated, not only the teenagers. Now, what happens if one party disagrees? The court will not give any adoption order. The only place or the only situation where the court can say it's all right, we still go ahead with the adoption, is when the person cannot be found, yeah, or the boy, for example, refuses to give contribution. So you can actually apply for special circumstances to go ahead with the adoption without the other person. Okay, illegitimate child, right? We all know that term, and we know that in the old days people called them bastards, right? And besides the social stigma of being called names in class, you know, you have this idea about what Dr. Yo said earlier, you know, adopted child, I'm an adopted child, I'm an unwanted child, my real parents don't want me. Yeah, so that's a lot of social issues that you all will have to consider. But from the legal perspective, there are also issues about inheritance. Yeah, there's also issues about inheritance because in Muslim law, I won't be saying that I'm expert on this, but from what I checked, that they can only inherit under the maternal line. And under the non-Muslim law, you have this issue of proving that they are actually legitimate children. So if they are illegitimate children, what is the best thing for the mother or whoever is bringing up the child to do is to write a will, right? So that there's no controversy over their inheritance. There's no controversy over what, who gets what. The real children, you know, or the children of birth will say, look, I am entitled. I'm the real child of mom and dad. You are nobody. So, you know, that's really causing a lot of family disharmony. I know a case of twins that were not properly adopted. They were just given to this lady and she just brought them up and gave them everything. But when we went to court to try to get the probate when the mother died and the mother left a lot of assets behind, we could not prove their adoption. We could not prove that they were actually the children of this woman. So how do you apply for administration order? You can't, you know. But fortunately, after digging everywhere, we found a will in Hong Kong. So I'm just saying that's why in this situation where an illegitimate child is involved, a will is important. Okay. Now, let's get down to the offenses. Yeah. So as counselors and advisors, this is the bad stuff, right? The deed is done. The baby is there. What happens if someone comes to you and say, I dumped the baby, right? Or what if somebody doesn't know what to do? How do you advise them, right? So you know that there is an offense for baby dumping, and that's jail up to 7 years, or a fine, or even both. So in a recent case, we had both the couple, the boy and the girl, both were fined. Okay, the girl took abortion pills, right? And the baby came out. But the boy admitted to the police that the baby was born alive. But he had wrapped the baby in a plastic bag and dumped it in the bushes. Okay, so that is definitely an offense. Okay, that's an offense of disposing a dead body. So the guilty boy was jailed for 12 months and fined 1,500, and the girl was jailed for 6 months. Okay, hiding a baby is also another offense. So there are many sections. So I didn't want to put that there for you. It's just too many variations. You can be the couple can be jailed up to 2 years, or fined, or both, right? And in the case of a boy, if he's held to rape the girl, it's jail up to 20 years plus whipping. Okay, and statutory rape means under the age of 16, whether they argue that the girl has consented or not consented doesn't arise. Okay, doesn't arise. Automatically, he is guilty of rape if it's proven. Okay, sorry, because I'm living near Surau. Okay, infanticide. Infanticide is when the mother causes the death of the baby, right? So we heard about abortion, but you have cases where schoolgirls, right, will try to take pineapple to abort the child, or will try to stick a needle up, and try to kill the baby. Now, that is a jail up to 20 years and fine. And of course, you know that murder of a baby, right, is when, for example, in 2 recent cases, you had the baby thrown out the window. In one case in 2020, the girl is now in correctional institute waiting for her case to be called to trial, and she's been charged under the penal code for murder, which is death penalty. Death penalty. And in a recent case, another one, couple was arrested after postpartum bleeding. And I tell you, the horrible thing is sometimes the media does not support and is not sympathetic. So as a social support group, we have to be sympathetic to the couple. Somebody has to stand by the couple, not to demonize them, not to victimize them. They end up not being the victims of the law. Because if you look at the language of the media, recently it was reported, they said they arrested the girl and they nabbed the boy at the hospital. I mean, I don't think this couple actually felt that they were doing anything wrong. They were just desperate, but to put them in such a situation, I think you talk about the psychological effect on them. I think it's the trauma is going to affect them for a long, long time. Yeah, it becomes like, I don't know what to do. I will just do anything and nobody's here to help me. Yeah, so bear that in mind. Media is also not helpful. Police may also be not as sympathetic as you think, right? When they come to the police station, many a time, sorry to say, they can actually be ridiculed. Technically, there is supposed to be a police woman officer at every police station to deal with these issues. But how sympathetic are they? Yeah, we know in the cases of sexual harassment and all that, even with adults, they will say family issue, go back home. Husband want to beat you, must be something wrong with you. So what more this? You think the girl is going to get sympathy at the police station with a very good police woman? Yes, possibly, but maybe not there. So that's why I say the social support group has to be there for them. So 2 cases already counted as murder. And I think in both cases, the mother who got rid of the baby by throwing the baby out never thought that she would actually be the one who's going to end up with a death penalty. Okay, so this is some education that needs to be done. Now, oops, sorry. Okay. I spoke to some teenagers, and I think some of them brought this up to me. They said that it's very good if community leaders could encourage parents to be supportive of their children rather than be critical, be impartial, be clinical about it, and find a space, right? Whether you're a church group or you're some NGO, it's good to give them a safe space where they can talk to. So even grandparents, you can bring yourself to be the safe person that they can turn to, right? And educating children on how to deal with the issue, I think, is also important, because if it happens, right, don't treat it as an accident, but it's a real life issue. So it's a real life issue. You have to deal with it, logically and humanely, so I think that's important. And I think there are a few other areas that has been missed out often in our education on this topic. Yeah, we need to deal with how, for teenagers, how do you deal with being ostracized in school? How do you deal with being ashamed? Yeah, how do you deal with possibly future marriage. What happens if your future partner says, hey, you were raped at 15, or you had a baby at 15 and gave away, I heard. How do you deal with this sort of comments? Do you run away and hide? Do you face up to it? And children born out of wedlock, that is a huge area that needs to be dealt with. How do they earn back their self-esteem? So I think that's a lot of food for thought. Okay, right. So I will leave you all now to ask any questions you like at the Q&A section for everyone. Yeah. By the way, I also want to point out, if you are giving guidance for teenagers, cover the key topics which involve the law, which is sexual abuse, all right, which now covers also child grooming. Okay, that is also a child grooming is also an offense. So you need to highlight to them about child grooming and how to deal with it and what is grooming. Okay, and you have incest. I think you all read the papers recently that incest has gone up in numbers during this lockdown. Okay, what is incest? Do children know what is incest? What happens if their father comes up to them and says, "Hey, give me some love," you know, right? Mommy doesn't love me. Give me some love. Can they say no? How do you teach the child to deal with that? And how do you teach the child to make a report to the police? What if the mother is scared? The mother dare not leave the father, dare not report the father because he is the breadwinner. So how can the daughter or the daughters report their own father? You know what the father answers? The father has answered in many cases, do you want me to go to jail? If I go to jail, your brothers and sisters have nothing to eat. So are they not in a dilemma? How do you help this child make a decision in a dilemma like that? Okay, and of course, educating the parents. We had one case where the father actually told the social worker, "What's wrong? What's wrong with me? You know, sleeping with my daughter. You know, I have a durian orchard. It's like tasting my own durian." So, can you imagine that this actually happens? Okay, so incest is an offense, and child abuse, okay, sexual abuse, even in community centers, right? So if education can start very, very young, even at kindergarten level, even at primary level. Yeah, so I think those are the key offenses that you need to look into. Okay, yes. And another thing is some interesting information from UK, which I hope will not come to Malaysia, is that in UK, some rights groups have actually asked for the rapist to be given parental access. Okay, so which means that they are given parental rights, which means the rapist can actually say, I want to know how my child is being brought up. So please, this is getting out of the scenario, you know, of who is right and who is wrong. Right, so with that, thank you very much, and I leave it back to our MC.
Thank you, Nora. Hope you can all hear me loud and clear, especially Amutha. Can you hear me? Okay, we have a few questions here from Eva. Is it the law that the name of the father, can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it the law that the name of the father is not included in the birth certificate if the child is born out of wedlock? Can the mother insist that the name of the father be put in the birth certificate?
No, if they are not married, the father will not be named.
What if the father consents to it?
No, they will not allow the name inside. They are not married. Yes.
That's not very fair, is it? There's another question. With the schoolgirl Ain, Ain's case, where she received no support from the MOE, how can the law deal with it?
The MOE,
Nora?
yeah, the MOE themselves, I mean, this is a huge issue. I know when we touch on this thing, definitely Ian's case will come up. Yeah, so it's not about the law, right? It's not about the law. It's you see the way that everybody demonized her. Is it the education ministry's duty to do something about it? Have they done anything about it? Even the school themselves were entitled to call for a investigation into the behavior of the teacher. The school themselves did not do anything, right? So it starts from there, yeah. You can have the law, but by the time you run to the law, I think poor Ayn already has been ashamed and, you know, expelled from the school, you know, but it starts from the school. That's my view.
There's another question from Max. Can the birth certificate be edited later?
What do you mean by edited?
I suppose can you include the father's name in it later?
No, you have to adopt. Let's say they had a baby at 16, you know, and the birth certificate comes out without the father's name, and later on they decide to get married. He has to officially adopt the baby.
What if they don't marry? Can he still adopt?
They
Nora, we cannot hear you.
Okay, they will have to go through the adoption process. So social welfare will investigate, you know, the home and find out whether whoever, if it's a boy, is he capable of adopting the child. So if he's not staying with the girl, I can't see how he's going to adopt the child, except with a partner.
Then the mother loses custody of the
Single
child.
parent adoptions are very rare.
Okay.
Especially for a man to adopt a daughter, a girl.
Sundra asked, what if they marry traditionally?
You know, under our Law Reform Act, the traditional marriage is not recognized, except unless you're in the 40s, 50s, 60s, in the early years. But today, no, you need to have your registered marriage. You can marry traditionally, but please follow up with registered marriage.
Fiona asked, what if they get married later on and the father wants his name to be included in the birth certificate?
No, you cannot include you cannot change the birth cert, but you can have adoption papers.
Even if they legally marry?
Yes, you cannot change the birth cert. She's born with the child's born with the birth cert and with a my kid, right? So what you do is you go back and get the adoption papers. So the child goes back and names the father when she gets he or she gets the IC. So there is a lawful father.
Okay. How about a case where the father rapes the daughter and the daughter gives birth?
So what is the question?
Legally?
What's the question?
So how about a case where the father rapes the daughter and the daughter gives birth? What happens legally? Even medically, I suppose.
You're muted again.
Indrani? Medically? Is a medical question?
As an illegal one as well.
It's I think both legal and medical.
Yeah.
But okay, I think just to sum up, we just have to understand that you cannot get your birth certificate will be without the father's name if you're not legally married. That is a no, because when they come and get registered or when they go to deliver the baby, they will need a legal document to the marriage certificate to actually put in the father's name. So in all sense, you cannot have the birth certificate with the father's name if you do not have a legal document. I think that one is well understood. If by any chance, if you get a legal document, meaning you go, the moment you find out. Sorry, I hear some background. Okay, so in case that if the girl finds out she is pregnant and she gets a marriage certificate. That means she goes and gets a marriage certificate and comes to the clinic and registers, she can put the father's name. You know, she can put the father's name on the first visit or the second visit. She can play around and say that she forgot to bring the first visit. But after which she cannot. After, you know, she cannot put in once the birth certificate comes out. So that's as far as the medical part. But I don't know if between the father raping the daughter and the daughter becoming pregnant, whether she is going to genetically, whether the pregnancy will carry on. If it is a real father. If stepfather is a different story. Genetically, there might be some issues.
My question, which is also related to this, so if the father's name is not in the birth certificate, is the child still a citizen, or will the child be stateless?
Child will be stateless. I mean, the child cannot go to school, you know, government schools. So that's, and we find that there are a lot of children without, I mean, they're actually stateless, you know, because they don't have the father's citizenship.
But the mother's a citizen.
Yeah, not necessary. It's not, we have a lot of children with just the stateless children because we cannot prove that both the parents must be Malaysians for them to be a Malaysian. If one of the parent is a foreigner, then the child does not get the Malaysian status unless they get legally married here. If they are legally married, then the husband gets a Malaysian, he can enjoy the Malaysian benefits as a spouse. And then the child can,
That's a whole new topic outside of the teenagers, but it's a whole new topic.
It's very, very difficult to actually explain that, but we have a lot of children who are stateless because one of the parent is a foreigner.
Okay. Another question from Kwa Siu Kim. Do you have to be married to adopt a child? That's for Nora.
Do you have to be married to adopt a child? The social welfare will look at the condition of the family. So if the circumstances are there is a good family background, you know, even if maybe you have a grandma or your own parents are taking care, it is possible to be a single mother, a single parent adopting a child. It is possible, but you really have to prove to the social welfare department.
Julie Kwa asked, will JKM come in if the teen mother is not able to support the child?
Actually speaking, as what Nora said, JKM cannot take the child away. You know, if the teenage mother delivers, teenage girl delivers, JKM cannot take the child away. But if they find that there is some amount of abuse, then the child will be taken away. And an adoption process from JKM is not as easy as it sounds. You know, you have to go through it will take at least, I would say about 5 years, 5 years, I think, because, you know, in my experience, there were 2 kids which were found on the road walking, a 1.5-year-old kid and a 9-month, a 1-year kid and a 2-year kid. They were found on the road. JKM took it, sent it to our orphanage, and the warden of the orphanage, they had no kids. They were married. They had no kids. They wanted to adopt these 2 babies. It took them 5 years before the process got through. And they were abandoned kids with the JKM brought in. So it's not easy to adapt. The process takes at least 3 to 5 years.
I mean, some cases, if the couple is really able to prove they're capable, I have seen cases like within a year, 2 years, I would say 2 years, because there's a lot of visits, 2 to 3 years. The social welfare department will keep visiting the couple to see how's their home. You know, you can't just sort of dress up the home suddenly. They'll come in and check whether you're able to take care of the child. So yeah, there have been cases of adoption, successful and happy couples at the end of the day, but it's a very patient process that you need to go through.
We have
Okay.
participant, Francesca, who would like to share her experience. Francisca, can you come on camera and just share with us your experience? Francisca, would you want to share?
Yeah, please turn in your camera as well.
Yeah. Can we get you to unmute? Yeah.
Yeah. Is unmute? Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
we can hear you
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Yes.
So there was about 17 years ago, I adopted a child that was dumped at the dump site. It's a baby wrapped in a towels and was thrown at the bin. So, and I pick it up when the dog barked. So I went to see when the baby cried. So we went to see. So we pick it up because it's a police case. So we have to send this to call the police to come. So because I'm not married, I have a partner. In Malaysia, I'm not considered married. But in other country, in Arab country, I'm considered married because I don't want to be convert to Muslim. See? So the social welfare, so the baby was sent to the police and hospital for check everything, and then it was sent to to the orphanage home. So every time they came over and inspect the house and all those to able to adopt. So they knows that I have a partners with me. So they was very happy that I to get this little boy. But the problem is that because this boy is a mix, it can by the look you know that it's a mixed baby. So it's pretty hard to get him a title for the states or be a Malaysian things like this. So you have to go to a lot of procedure that is impossible to him to become a Malaysian in a sense, because they can allow me to take it because my partner is not a Malaysian. So you know, but the thing is that I don't want to be converted to Muslim, and my partner doesn't want me to convert to Muslim. So it's so hard for me to adopt. So, but I still keep him for many years. But the orphanage treat him like very special because this boy is so special. Because it's a mix, and you know, so it's like every time I have to send me in and out in the orphanage home there, and every time he come back, he will start to you know recite all those Muslim things and Bismillah Rahman all those things. But when he's back with me, then he will send to the K place and all those and speaks English, but came back and speak Malay again. So he doesn't know how to recognize who are the person that take care of him, actually adopt him. So it's pretty difficult when you adopt a foreign kids with a mix. And to apply citizenship for him is very much difficult as well. First thing, if you are married a foreigner, it's much easy. But if you're married a local, it's very difficult to prove that to get a certificate for these kids. Now, when you can, by the age when he's about to go to school, now that's the time you have to send him to. The law already tell you that he's only able to go to private school and not in any government school. But the time you can apply it to go to government school, when only that you get approval already, the later to prove that these kids got a stat already, that he's a Malaysian or Sri Lankan or whatever thing. Like I'm from Sarawak, yeah. So it's a long procedure. So the kids actually knows that he himself knows that he's different for anybody. When he's about 4 years old like this, he knows that he's already like different for anybody else. But it's said that it's hard for us to adopt. So eventually I send it back to the orphanage home. And right now he's already 17 years old. But the orphanage always call me up and say, hey, your kids and things like this. Yeah. So Until now, he's still stateless. He still cannot get any status as a Malaysian. But but I try to see him every time. I'm still in the process to apply for him every time. Yeah. Until now, he's already 17 years old this year. Yeah. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks,
Could I
Francesca.
share something?
Sorry, May?
Actually, this
share
is a very, very true case because we find a whole lot of children, like in KL, who are stateless. And they actually go to this Yayasan school where, you know, it's very sad to see them. But I actually am very, you know, I sympathize with your situation. Like, you know, it's really sad. It will take some time, but hopefully we will manage to work something out. You know, you'll be able to get. Yeah.
I think someone else wants to share something. Is it Chaiki?
Okay. A good example to all the questions regarding unmarried couple and the child, the name of the father. A good example is Teo Beng Hock. He passed away without, they didn't have a marriage, and the child was born. So the mother, because of the publicity, the mother was given dispensation where the government allowed the name of Teo Beng Hock to be inserted into the birth cert. Okay, that is a public knowledge. And then another case was a Malay guy went to court to ask the government to allow his name to be to the child's name, because the child was born, they got married, but the child was born maybe 2 months down the road instead of the 9 months, you see. So the government refused to let the child be named whatever Amina Binti, the father's name. They insisted that Abdullah be used because they do not recognize the father's name. This was because they had the child not official married, conceived the child before they were official married. This case came to court, see, because the child couldn't have a IC with the father's name. It has to be Abdullah. This is an example also why, even though they get married, but not when the child born within such a short time, the government still would not allow the name of the father to appear in the person. Okay.
So Francesca asked, if the child converts to become a Muslim, will it be much easier for them to get a birth certificate or citizenship? Nora, you want to take up this question?
Which child? I mean, is this a general question or specific to her case?
Francesca, will it be specific to your case, or I guess maybe general? You know.
No, I think this
Or
Muslim
maybe
thing, you know, whether you're converted or not, it's not the point. It's not about that, you know. It's the rule is very clear, the law is very clear. If you're not married, the father is not there. That's all in the birth certificate. So you know, you it's not about whether you're Muslim or Christian or whatever. They don't recognize the father. They don't recognize the father. He's not a father, you know, to be named there. That's why there will be a good idea like orphan care and other alternative places where children can be, you know, kept or brought up, you know, without just resorting to social welfare. Then there might be other options available.
Kwasuki asked, I wonder if it's a non-Muslim, must the marriage certificate be within 9 months of pregnancy?
No, that's not an issue. It's when the baby is born, there is a valid marriage certificate. They don't go back 9 months.
Could I answer that?
Yeah,
I got another example. I was a witness in the Malaysian embassy in New York when this couple came to try to get birth cert for the child. They were married after the child was born.
and their child, but the government refused to recognize. They say, how would we know? They don't bother say about DNA. So the child couldn't get citizenship of Malaysia. I happened to be there. Then I witnessed the situation. So therefore, just now that question, whether it's Muslim or not Muslim, it applies, say, it is like that. They would not recognize when the term is too short, the child, or when the child was born, even though the parents are married. They say, how do we know? Definitely this is their child.
Okay. Any other questions? We have one which is on sexual harassment, not really related to our topic, but from Eva. There was a sexual harassment case involving a lecturer and a university student reported to the university authorities, but the results were not made known to her. Dissatisfied, she reported to the police, but to no avail. Case. What can she do under the legal process?
Mute, unmute.
Nora, you want to?
If she wants to, maybe we can get her email and then I can take her question, because I can't just tell it over the phone just like that. Yeah, not over the phone, just over the internet.
Okay.
What she can do. Yeah.
Eva, if you can share with us your email address.
Yeah. The other thing is, I was thinking if we could just ask the participants, right? If anyone is coming from any social group or NGO, to share with us what are they doing at their end, and you know, what can be done or what have they instituted, you know, in their organization. Maybe we could hear from them a little bit too.
I would like to share. I'm Prof. Kwa from International Medical University. I would like to share.
Could you please turn on your camera?
Turn on my camera. Okay, just hang on.
Could you please turn on your camera? Thank you.
Oh, it's not. Is it turned on?
We had a glimpse of you.
Okay, let me turn it on again. Okay. Okay, it should be on now. Not be got off by itself. Okay, it's on now. We are doing quite a bit for adolescent reproductive health, because we found that in the Grismilan, Ramban, they have quite a lot of these teenage pregnancies and all those kind of things. So we made several videos to handle the problem. There was only one in Malay. The rest were, the one in Malay is actually quite good for you all. It's the right to say no and how to say no. And the other things are in English, but we have got Malay subtitles and all that. Some painful price for free sex is about getting sexually transmitted infection after they had sex. And we have dangerous sexual liaison is one where the girl was, I don't know whether you call it rape or not, after she befriended someone on WeChat, something like that. No, we have quite a lot. And also the latest we made was how to put on the condom, because we thought that is something that we need to tell. We also did one on menstruation, what is menstruation and how they can get pregnant even before they have their proper menstruation and all those kind of things, and also painful periods. We are prepared to share with anybody, you know, any organizations that are willing to do to take use of videos, and we probably will make some more, but we just don't have the time at the moment. We also have gone to school to teach them, but this is a little bit tricky. You have to get MOE's permission. We actually have very very good statistics that we want to publish, but apparently it seems it's too, the government will not allow it lah. Okay, let's put it this way. Because we put it up as a research project and it was shut down. So we withdrew. But everybody is putting things under the carpet. So a lot of things, like just now, what are the issues brought up regarding citizenship and all that, we should address them. We should be the advocates for them. At least to push the government to do the right thing, because all these people who are stateless, they'll be useless to the country. And some of them are very bright. It's just that not everybody has the money to go to private school. You know, it's so expensive in private school. It's more expensive than the university education. So it's really sad. We should be pushing for all that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Professor. Could you share your YouTube channel or whatever where you have your videos?
Yep, I could share. I can put it in the WhatsApp chat. I hope those are the correct ones, because we did change some of the thing to, let me copy this down and put it in the WhatsApp chat. Copy, and not sure whether they are all can be used, because we're trying to make, so I've put it into the chat group already.
Thank you.
Anyway, if you have problems, and those groups that are interested can let me know. And we could even, what do you call it, collaborate.
Yes.
To reach out to a bigger audience.
Yes. And I would like to respond to Sue Yan's questions about how can we engage parents more. Yeah, it depends on what stage you are in. Yeah, if you're, it is always good to prepare them when their children are young. As I said earlier on, you know, it should be just any other topic that we talk about, then it become very natural. But if it's still never too late, if they are in their early teens, this is where, you know, parents, you all need to educate yourself. But what we can do as an organization, because this program, we are going to expand it, perhaps we can turn it into workshop for parents, and then we will have like really like role play, you know, what are the common questions asked, and then how can we desensitize ourselves to talk about sex. Yeah, many of us, we don't use the word sex because it's just too taboo a word to use. Yeah. So if we can have a workshop for parents, we can work together with the school, with the parents, teacher, you know, organizations. Yeah, we hope we can really be able to help them to be more comfortable dealing with this. But otherwise, right now, it's really the parents to take their own initiative to pick up first. Don't wait for us. Because we don't know what your children are being exposed to out there. So you take your own responsibility. Sit them down, have a heart-to-heart chat with them, yeah, and see what they are doing on the internet. Find some interest in what they are doing. Don't just like, you know, forbid them from spending too much time on the internet. You know, be a little bit curious. Yeah, ask them, you know, what are you doing on the internet? You seem to be very interested. Can mommy know? Or learn up some of their online game just to have an experience. That's how I will approach the teenagers nowadays.
Eva asks, can anyone share a positively evaluated curriculum or instructional content on sex education for children?
Positively evaluated. There are recommended sex education for this age group. It's really about, you know, good touch, bad touch, recognizing emotions so that they know that if somebody touched them inappropriately, they would know that it's not right. And then to make sure that they inform somebody, especially the parents, yeah, or the teachers. If the parents or the teacher don't believe her, they will have to keep on informing another person until somebody believes them. This is one of the module that we Soroptimist has. Yeah, we call it personal safety for children, and we teach them the 5 golden rules. Yeah, so my body is my body. Yeah, nobody should touch my body. Yeah, and then your body is your body. Nobody should even touch your body, even with your permission. Yeah. And then if the person still wants to touch you, you should learn to say no. If you say no, the person still come touching you, you should run. And then run and tell somebody. So these are the 5 golden rules that we do to protect our children at that age. Because that seems to be what is taught out there. But how well is it? Is it evidence-based? Is it improved? Yeah, probably we can do some research about it. I've not done one.
Francesca asked, for Down syndrome children, how do you tell them that they should not have sex because they have this thing in them?
Yeah, Pei, I think you did one with our Kiwanis in Johor. Not any Down syndrome, autistic kids. Yeah.
You know, it depends on how we want to approach this. They have the right to have sex. Let me put it this way, because mentally they may not be there, but their body still grows. So that's why they still have that sexual needs. Now, I can't remember which country, you know, in Europe, they actually do have once a month activity, yeah, to bring the special needs children to visit the brother, to visit the prostitute, just to release their sexual needs or to meet their sexual needs. But I don't think that would be, you know, legal in this country. But I think we need to know that they do have sexual needs, and it depends on how serious is their condition. Because we do have cases where, you know, Down syndrome, they actually got married as well. Yeah. So
I also
go ahead.
I also have an ex-colleague. She has a special child, and I was told she sent the child to, I think it was General Hospital, where they teach these special children about how to protect themselves against sexual predators. So some of them cannot, you know, they cannot express themselves, but they are actually taught how to protect themselves and to actually be able to communicate if they are in danger. So there are some organizations out there who teach these, you know, children and people these things.
Yeah, so it's about repetition.
Yeah, in fact, the LPPKN, they have modules that has been, you know, used to teach teachers from special needs children's schools. So, you know, they actually use colored circles, you know, the canvas with colored circles, teaching them like how close, you know, it's basically the good touches and the bad touches, how close that you can allow somebody to come to you and touch you. So there are certain, I mean, curriculum to teach the special need children actually. It has been actually used in many schools actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Francesca, you brought up a very, very real situation. In fact, the parents should also be roped in to coach the kids. It's not just
parents
the
are,
teacher. Yeah, and because it's about conditioning them to know what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. Yeah. And it's sad that they are being rejected at the center because of their natural biological needs.
And if you realize that, you know, that some parents, if they find that the child is so difficult to, so they have even come and approach and said, you know, can you do a hysterectomy, especially when they start menstruating, because they don't want to face this problem. And nowadays we do not allow that, you know, like basically, you know, we teach them how to handle the parents. Actually, you know, they have to go through counseling and everything. The parents have to go through, because it's an easy way out, you know. They just don't want the child to get into trouble, and basically they say, oh, can you help to do a hysterectomy? You know, this child is unsafe. But nowadays they don't advocate anymore of all this kind of things. So they actually rope in the parents for counseling, and you know, in the pediatric clinic, and things are done down there.
Okay.
Hi.
There's another
Good
question from Eve. Oh,
Hello. Hi.
who's
Good
this?
evening,
Can you
everyone.
turn on
This,
the camera, please?
hold on, yeah.
Please turn on your camera so we can see
Okay.
you.
All right. This
Thank
is
you.
Vengata from the SAI organization. All right. Okay. Just to share with you all, apparently, of course, it is so important for parents themselves to be educated regards to how to upbring their children, in a proper way. I mean, I'm not saying all parents are like that, but there are ways to actually, to educate the children. So we do have programs in the organization that we actually conduct for all the parents, whether single parents or also a parent who's married with children. A parent care program which we have run for all the societies as well, which has been conducted very well and very acceptable programs that is actually accepted by the community itself. And we do see a lot of changes in how the particular parents actually brings up the children, after going through the program, even understanding themselves as a parent, understanding themselves, husband and wife, how they're supposed to behave, how they should actually communicate with the children. All these things has been done in our organization as well, which has been actually certified and also recognized by the of the ministries as well regarding kind of programs. So I think probably Doreen can actually run through these programs with you all, or even with your community, with your organization as well, to share with you how this program can actually help to enhance people's livelihood of particular family as well. Like for myself, I have two youth children who are 21, 23 years old. So how we communicate with them is to become friends with them, to understand them. So they will share everything with you guys, no matter what, whether they are boyfriends or girlfriends or whatsoever. So that's how we are. So I know what my daughter does. My wife knows what my daughter does. My son does. So that way actually keeps the relationship very close. So I think most of the parents now are very busy with their work and they forget about the children. That is where we fail as a parent. You know, no one is perfect parent. No one is perfect. I mean, along the line we do make mistakes as well, but I think we learn through the mistakes, and we also help the children to understand what is right, what is wrong. Throughout their growth until they finish and get married. So that's what we do in our family as well. So I think the organization itself actually helped this the family unity. In this program actually teaches you a lot of things actually. All right, just to share with you guys. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Good role model.
There's one more question from Eva. She said, how do you tell children where do babies come from?
Ask Mr. Google. There's a lot of answer there.
Yeah.
It has to be age appropriate. Yeah, it has to be age appropriate. Yeah, talking about what? How young is young?
I think some kids should not be have to be dealt with in a very realistic way. I find like today's children are smarter than the children of the past, because they get access to the internet. If you tell them it comes from the dustbin, or you come from the birds and the bees, they won't believe all that because they would have researched anyway. They're just testing the parents. So sometimes it's better to tell the truth, and even when they get to school, there's no conflict between the information that they receive at school and what the parents told them. My view.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Sometimes I would ask them, why do you ask? Yeah, what makes you ask that question? Where do baby come from? And see what they are being exposed to. Yeah. And for all you know, they just say, I think there's one case, it's a joke anyway. The child asked the parents, where did I come from? So the parents thought, oh, okay, it's time to teach her about sex. So they talk about, this at night, in the on a rainy day, we were sleeping together, all the story, the details of it. Then the child just say, oh, but my teacher asked where I come from, as in like, which state do I come from? Yeah, so it's not about the baby or anything. Yeah, so their context, at what context they are asking. Yeah, but anything got to do with sexual question or sexual information or behavior, you want to really be very mindful, be very careful, because children have no concept about certain games, sexual game, until they are being exposed to. Yeah, either they are being exposed through TV, or an adult has exposed them to, or their friend played, some sexual game with them innocently or intentionally. So ask them what makes them ask that question first, and see where they're coming from.
Okay, thank you, Paley. Are there any other questions? Or should we wrap up for today?
Why don't you take a group photo?
Shall we take a group photo? Okay.
And everyone can turn on their...
Please turn on your cameras, and don't forget to fill in the survey form, the evaluation form.
And also for those organizations, you are doing this work, get in touch with us so that we can see how we can collaborate, just as how, our brother just now had shared.
Yeah, we can learn from each other.
Yeah, we need to be in this together. It's not a competition. Yeah, we need to collaborate.
We need to learn from each other and also to share.
Yes, yes.
Please turn on your camera so we can take a group picture.
Yeah, thank you for staying till the end. These are the the warriors, the survivors.
Juliet, we'll take the screenshots.
Yes, please.
Just give me a minute. Okay, smile everyone.
Yeah, we need to make sure you keep smiling, because we have got 2 pages.
Yes, 3 for mine. Okay.
Ah.
Turn on your videos, please.
All right, I'm done. Thank you, everyone. Oh, wait, there's someone popped up.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all for
Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the collaboration.
Everyone unmute and say goodbye.
Yes, you work together.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you all enjoyed that.
Yes, our members
Yes, we
have
did.
expressed.
Yes, wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yes.
Hi, Doreen.
Yes, hi. How are you?